Yes, you're absolutely right. I have made macaroni and cheese before because it's one of my favorite inexpensive dish, and it's fast too. But before, I wanted to share this little secret with you. Not for the wine snob, mind you, but for the regular people like me who happen to like a glass of wine with their macaroni and cheese. I buy the inexpensive Pinot Grigio, $4 a bottle, and then what I do is I will add a dash of Jamaican ginger ale to my Pinot Grigio, enough to just cut the edge, if you know what I mean. After all, it's cheap wine, the type that I buy anyway. I mean, you don't expect to get expensive wine at $4 a bottle now, do you? But anyway, try it. You might like it. But let's get on with cooking. The reason why I said that it was really simple to make is because it is. You simply get a cup of macaroni. In this case, I'm using Elbow macaroni, and as you might have guessed, I'm using store brand Elbow macaroni. So in a pot, I add some water, nice, clean, fresh water. About 3 cups, I'd say, for 1 cup of macaroni, maybe a little bit more. Enough water to cover and cook the macaroni. And then, of course, I add some salt to my water, which will also salt the macaroni. You see what I mean? Some people will add a little bit of oil so the macaroni don't stick. One way not to have the macaroni stick, of course, is to stir often. Now, as for the 4 ingredients, here they are. Ground mustard, macaroni, sharp cheddar cheese, and a can of evaporated milk. And that's it. Now, as for the cheese, it's about 8 ounces of cheese, I would say, and that's enough cheese to make it nice and cheesy. As for the macaroni, it's very simple, really. All you have to do is to follow the instructions on the box. And the instructions will tell you, wait until the water begins to boil. Then you add the macaroni and let it boil for about 6 to 7 minutes. In my case, 6 minutes. Once it starts to boil, as I said, you need only to add the macaroni. And once you have done that, remember, if you don't want a macaroni to stick, all you have to do is to stir it often. About 6 minutes, 7 minutes later, your macaroni is ready. In the meantime, let's prepare the cheese. This is very simple. About 8 ounces of cheese, put it into a blender, and in this case, I'm sure you've become so familiar with my blender. I like it. Anyway, into the blender, and then I add some mustard to the blender. And while that is happening, of course, don't forget what I told you. If you don't want your macaroni to stick together, then you've got to stir it often. I use a wooden spoon because I sometimes use pots that are lined. Anyway, to the cheese I add some mustard, maybe a teaspoon of mustard, maybe a little less, half a teaspoon. What you add, of course, depends entirely on your taste. You like mustard? Add enough. If you don't, don't. And then, of course, I add 1 can of evaporated milk after I have shaked it well. Right on the can, it'll tell you to shake well. After I've shaked it well, I will add 1 can of 1 can of evaporated milk, and then I will blend it all together. Now, it can't be any easier than that. 8 ounces of cheese, a can of evaporated milk, 1 cup of Elbow macaroni, and you blend it all very well. Now, if you want to have softer macaroni, then you may add an additional half a cup of milk to a cup of milk. I don't. I like my macaroni nice and firm. Once that is done, of course, in a sprayed dish, I sprayed with some vegetable oil because I don't want it to stick. That's why I did that. I added my cooked macaroni to the dish. Once I have done that, of course, by the way, I scrape every single morsel of macaroni out of that pot. I do. I cannot afford to waste food, and I will not. Then I add my cheese mixture, evaporated milk with cheese that has been blended well. Then I stir it in really, really well. A lot more vigorous than you see here, of course. Once I have done that, then the next evolution, and this is strictly optional, I like to do it, and perhaps you will like to do it too. I like to add some grated cheese to the top of my macaroni, just like that. And sometimes I will even add some breadcrumbs, Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. Entirely up to you. It's all optional. Once that's done, of course, all it has to do now is to get inside the oven, and that's what I will do. The oven, 350 to 375 degrees, and we're gonna cook it for an initial 30 minutes. At the end of 30 minutes, take a look at it. If it's not nice and crusty on top the way you like it, then by all means cook it for an additional 10 to 15 minutes, and that's it. Told it was easy. How about some music now from Screamin' Lehman, one of my all-time favorite bands. I love this guy.
Words ring through my head, leaves not much more to be said. If I had one wish to come true, would be to make this easy on you, but there's no way around it. If I could say that I love you, I would get down on my knees and take you by the hand. Keep this in mind before you fall too far. I got my hands by my side, I've got my feet on the ground. Yeah, I've given you the signs that would make it clear to you. Now I'll say the words, let it sink right through. It's right until it's wrong, but it's time to move. Ticking, girl, you know it just won't stop. Yeah, and that's telling me a lot. Whether you like it or not, your temple grinds against my cadenza. Ooh, I step on your toes, you